It's always random how long it takes for it to start, but we're live. Hello, everyone. This is Ninja DC joining again for another. Gosh, I still want to say react. It feels so weird to say that. 24-bit podcast, episode 3. Actually, no, wait, episode 2 because I did a weird order starting with 0. Hey. But just as we catching up before we begin this podcast is I want to have Jenn to give us her thoughts on the gosh, my brain always VisiPop because it's VisiPop, but it's also like the official studio name is like something unicorn or Alicorn, I forget what a name.
It's Spindlehorse. It's
Spindlehorse. Yeah, that's it. So it's like, yeah, I just want to say VisiPop, but then it's also Spindlehorse. Then everyone just knows shows. But anyway, go on, Jenn.
Okay. All right. So my thoughts on these are the thoughts I have on Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss. It is it is something that I didn't even know I needed in life, but apparently I did. But apparently, it's one of those things like you don't know, you think you don't need in your life, but then you find it like, where have I been without it? It is fast paced. It is vivid. It is funny. It is funny. It is funny. It is cynical. It is mean, and it's happy and all the same time. It is a crazy ingredient of a wonderfully hellish cocktail, and you just want to drink more of it every single time. I don't know, and truthfully, I don't know which I laughed. I don't know which I laughed more, Hell of a Boss or Hazbin Hotel. And honestly, like, who cares anymore? Either way, both of it are just so amazing, and I'm hoping for full length, like, features of each one, or better yet, if we get spoiled with a crossover, that would be just absolutely wonderful. So, but also shout out and congratulations to VisiPop for how successful all of this is, and continued success and continued hellish laughs.
Me.
Ta-da!
Huzzah, indeed.
All right, Jenn, do you want to give any further updates about anything going on, or do you want to have someone else jump in?
Anything going on, like
any geeky stuff like that.
Oh, any geeky stuff like that. Let's see. If anything geeky. Well, the trials of Okami continue. I'm about 3/4 of the way of the game, and the second digging stage with Kaguya is absolutely testing my patience. I am just about a hair's breadth away from literally throwing the Wii out the window because of how hard that second stage is. But other than that, exactly, that's exactly what it is. One time I was so close to getting to a vital part, and that darn Kaguya just had to, like, go over the spikes, and if you go over spikes, you lose 5 seconds, and then I lost the time, and I was like, Kaguya!
You should listen to Yascast dig a hole when you do it.
Oh my gosh, I should. I should. It'll break up the monotony of the music and such, even though it's great in the first place, but when you've heard it for the 10,000th time, you're like, it just doesn't help your stress,
No.
Yeah,
like,
I will say,
the next one?
Yeah, the one thing I said, I brought it before, but I wrote any things needs to be said. Okami is a lot longer of a game than you would think.
Exactly.
Like, it is a good 30 to 40-hour game. Like, if you're...
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. I am
on the story.
I am in hour 48.
As I said, if you're focusing just on the story, if you're doing all the side quests, it's a lot longer. So that's
I know.
But sometimes a lot of the side quests are actually useful. Like, I didn't know I had to do a lot of side quests in order to increase the praise that I have. That means I can increase my power levels, I can increase my ink levels. That way I can fight, I can attack more, because I had like just 4 ink bottles in that stage. the Let's Play I watched to try and get some help on this, I think this person had about 8 or 9. So I'm like,
oh, yeah, I've seen some.
ah!
I've seen some gameplay of, like, some experts, and it's like they have like 2 rows of like health things and 2 rows of like ink. I'm like, dear gosh.
I know.
How much?
The worst part is like this the timestamp was like 10 years ago. So I'm like, what? It's like I can go in there and be like, hey, how'd you get that? Or no, 9 times out of 10 they're probably like not a YouTuber anymore. So you just wasted time there. But either way, the trials of Okami continue, and then after that will be, I believe, I'm trying to remember one of the Zelda games that I've got on there that I want to do. Darn it, I forgot what it was. I'll figure it out once I finish Okami. Then I tackle Zelda, and then that's it. All my Wii games are done, and then I can finally get the Switch.
Yay!
Mm-hmm.
And then someone sway, and then also someone sway me about the good news of the Master PC. Because I'm constantly being sold by my younger sister about like the wonders of the PC. I'm like, you're talking to a Mac person here, so
Yeah,
you have to talk to Dave, you have to talk with Dave for that.
Yeah, I always had a stationary PC. It can run, emulators for games, and as you just saw, like that controller makes it so I can play PlayStation games, old games, whatever I want. Why do I need, anything else?
Right. That's the constant argument I'm getting. Argument I'm getting. So I do
also have Steam, so yeah.
I have Steam too. I need to really attack Steam because there are some titles. Now I have no qualms with Steam. I can play that on my Mac and be happy as a clam. So I really need to get into that because darn it all, Undertale.
Yeah, that's
Oh
true.
my God.
Good luck with that.
Well, I mean,
Undertale,
Katamari
Damacy. Katamari Damacy. Oh, love it. But and also Fuser. This one I'm really wanting to get my lovely mitts on because I am a music fiend. I may be a geek and such with pop culture, but ultimately music is the ultimate passion. Like if I were ever to become deaf one day, just take a spike bat to my head and put me on this, right? Like Glenn of The Walking Dead.
That particular choice would create a little more misery first.
I know. Exactly. But yeah, Fuser. But yeah, I definitely would. I need to like really attack Steam and such, and because there's like so much. The more I find on there, the more I'm like, oh, I need this, and that.
Yeah, I was so surprised I could get my Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but that's about it. Other than like anything geek wise, still binging Gotham on Netflix, and I've got one more season to go. Oh my God!
Oh, it's on Netflix now.
Oh yeah, I'm binging Gotham with my boyfriend, and I literally stayed up all night till 7 o'clock in the morning getting through the remainder of season 2. So now I have one more to go.
Worth it?
You know what? Yes, it is worth it. But there are lots of like questions. You will have lots of questions. I was like, how did this happen? How did the character get there? And and you'll be asking multiple times, how is Jingle not dead? But one thing that's interesting, you will have a lot of characters that are seemingly evil. They're seemingly evil and be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this person to like die or whatever. And then you go into it through an arc. I'm like, okay, they're not that bad. And then all of a sudden something brings you back as to why you hated them in the first place.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Gotham. From what I remember watching when it was on TV, is it had it was creating some very original interpretation of characters that actually were pretty memorable.
You know what? Totally. It totally. The one thing I love about it is that it gives attention. It is giving attention to Jim Gordon, because you know what? I realize now Jim Gordon. I mean, as I think Batman has seen some stuff. Don't forget about Jim Gordon. I think it's a character that
Yeah.
totally deserves the spotlight. Totally deserves the spotlight. And also, but when it comes to like acting performances and everything, absolutely top notch, absolutely top notch acting performances from the cast. And I cannot get over this gentleman who plays Edward Nigma Riddler. Oh, I cannot applause. I cannot applause.
No problem. All right, I just want to give a little funny detail with Gotham. Like, because you mentioned, Jen, you mentioned how like you liked that was a Jim Gordon tale.
Yeah.
Well, one of the animated Batman movies that was released is like Year One, which is focusing like the first year of Batman.
Yeah.
Well, Jim Gordon is basically the co-protagonist of that.
Right.
Basically, first coming. Have you seen this one?
No, I think I heard of it, but I never got a chance to see it.
All right, yeah, it's basically also focusing on Jim Gordon, his first time moving to Gotham and all that.
Oh, cool.
So it's basically a co-protagonist where it's focusing on both like Batman starting and Jim Gordon starting as police commissioner.
Oh yeah.
The funny detail about that is the voice actor of Batman in that goes on to be the star of It becomes Jim Gordon in the Gotham TV show.
Oh, nice.
You mean it's the actor Ben McKenzie?
Yeah, like he's the one who did like Jim Gordon's actor in it was Batman, and Jim Gordon Batman focused animated thing.
Wow.
So I am curious though, like
mind blown. Wow.
You said Riddler is one of your favorite takes from Gotham, though.
You know what? Yes, Riddler. You know what? Yes, Riddler was the performance and the performance of Riddler and Edward Nigma. Yes, one of my favorites. It is very well done. But you could, and it's also like if you follow like it's like I feel like they borrowed a lot of the best kind of things from the Batman lore, and they kind of just smooth it over enough to where it could seem original. And the thing is, with the performance of the Riddler, I'm thinking the actor, I mean, if you see his performance, you compare him to Jim Carrey's Riddler in Batman and Robin. But here's the thing: the actor takes I think just the right amount of zany, but yet there's the serious. It's the perfect mix of zany and serious to be like, okay, we know where you got this from, but at the same time, it's like you're making this your own.
I mean, cause Riddler's always been a personal favorite of mine, but what I don't like is that, like, I think an era of the comics, the aughts, something like that, and and some of the movies that the animated movies that spun out of it, they seem real scared to just let Riddler be the intentionally awesome, swaggering best Bond villain that James Bond never thought that he is. Right. And partly because they seem real self-conscious about the lack of grimdark in his MO.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like so I'm real curious about that, because I would be 100% behind a take that doesn't go that route, that manages to at least
it's like
partly sell that angle.
It's like the thing is like they tread so it's a fine line between grim, dark, and funny, because like just when you think he's done something grim, sometimes they flip the script and like, oh no, he didn't, like, oh no, he didn't. But there's the one thing that's a little grating, just a little bit, is that I think the conversation about like mental illness can be like started with the character in the story, how he kind of quote talks to himself. It's okay in the beginning, but it gets kind of monotonous in later seasons, like, oh, not again, it gets kind of monotonous in that. But yeah, it's fun. Also another thing, the actor who plays Penguin, okay, everybody raving about that, and within good reason, because one of the things is I love funny villains, and again, this is also another thing, but there is like but it's not. But with the Penguin's performance in this one, there's no reference, I think, to any of the old Batman. It's completely new, completely fresh, and completely funny too. Because even it's one of those things where like, oh man, he's so cute when he's angry.
Shit.
It's so
Penguin?
It's like completely new, completely fresh take on Penguin, and the crazy thing is like the Penguin, Gotham makes the Penguin seem cool. It makes it seem cool, like, and that is a feat, and that's a feat to me. Gotham. This was interesting for me. Gotham made Jim Gordon look even more of a badass than he is, but also wonderfully flawed. Bruce Wayne, same thing, wonderfully flawed, but you see the troubled. You literally see him from the very day his parents die and his progression on. Alfred is a badass. We already know that. Also,
I just want to say, going back to Bruce Wayne things, like that's one thing I remember way back when the show started. Like that, the skill of that child actor who plays young Bruce Wayne is fucking amazing.
Yes. God, amazing.
Like that's his emotional range and all is so. I really look forward to like what his future is because his acting in that was amazing.
Oh, absolutely. I cannot agree more. Absolutely.
Like, I remember the MO on that show starting out that like, okay, it might just fall flat, but then as it went on, it stuck around and people seemed to finally give in to the notion that it should. It's there for a reason, and I can only assume that was one of the driving forces early on.
Totally. It made okay, Alfred is a badass. We already know that. And now I'm thinking like it makes me sad they tried to have a spin-off of Alfred, but it didn't work, and I'm kind of sad about that. But but it also now I feel like there should be like a spin-off of the actual 5 families of Gotham, but then again you'd probably have another Game of Thrones. So, but in seriousness, it was. Now this was interesting. This was a take. Gotham had a take on it that made me. Can't believe I'm saying this, but it made me actually hate Catwoman and Poison Ivy. It made me hate them.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, I'm pretty sure there's some sort of crime, but I'm like, I can't take it. I hate them. I mean.
Pat, like hateable versions of them are possible. Like Poison Ivy, it's been done, and then Catwoman, she showed up more like the way Anne Hathaway played her, except without the Robin Hood angle. She was
she's just a kleptomaniac.
Yeah.
She's just a klepto, and the thing is, they did the same klepto route with this one. Although I will give kudos to this. Kudos to the casting director who casted Selena Kyle. She looks like she could definitely be related to Michelle Pfeiffer. So kudos there. And the performances are great, but the performances are great. It's just the characters in there is just like it made me like just hate the characters. It just made me just hate them, especially Poison Ivy. At one point, I had to tell my boyfriend, like, can we fast forward the Poison Ivy scenes? I don't want to toss my laptop across the room. And he's like, no, you have to. He's like, no, you have to watch them. There's a reason this scene exists. I'm like, no, darn it. Okay, fine. And then afterwards, I was like, okay, thank goodness it's over. But other than that, I have one more. I cannonballed season 4. I have one more to go, and whoo. But so far, and one little thing, I am very impressed of how they did the we're calling it the proto Joker, how they handled the Joker. We're calling it proto Joker, but all throughout the parts of like, will you just say Joker, you cowards? But it's not really like they don't allude to it. There's like we're not gonna call him Joker. We're like, why not? But it's really cool. It's a really cool like take on how they do it. But we're calling it proto Joker. So yeah, there you go.
Mhm.
So
Alright.
guys, I'd like to transition this seamlessly to like another topic that happened recently for me.
Yes.
Like since we were talking about Batman, seems like Power Rangers has decided to take inspiration from Batman.
Okay, how so?
Okay.
Remember Dr. Freeze?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr.
Mm.
Freeze.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Freeze.
Concept
Mr.
that's
Freeze.
surprisingly evolved over the years.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, imagine this. Imagine you're going through Power Rangers Dino Fury, and it's starting to look like it's being more continuity driven than perhaps the last 10 years of Saban, excluding like the second half of Beast Morphers.
I did hear they were going that angle, that they were leaning
That
into the
sounds
continuity,
weird.
seeing if connected universes really can sell even at that level.
Oh yeah. So basically, basically it's this episode here, episode 8, in which we get our first returning cast member, which is from 2 seasons ago, being Mick from Power Rangers Ninja Steel, who is like
Mhm.
the alien transforming mentor for the Ninja Steel Rangers. He's coming in and asking for like finding the big MacGuffin from their original series, like, and when it's like mystically moving around and such, Rangers don't really help and such. But at the very end of the episode, the main villain right now, Void Knight, who's wearing like an awesome suit very similar to Korag from Power Rangers Mystic Force.
Mhm.
He goes into like a secret chamber, and there in a giant tube is a woman encased in ice.
Ugh. Yeah.
So
I mean,
legitimately, we're possibly going for a sympathetic villain this time. Something interesting that hasn't been done for like over 10 years now, ever since RPM.
interesting.
So
Well,
it's
not a bad choice to steal from. Like, Mr. Freeze might be Batman the Animated Series' greatest achievement as we know him. I mean, you could
Yeah.
argue greatest villain, but greatest achievement, because, I mean, before that, Mr. Freeze was just the guy with the cool gun.
He's just another mad scientist.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
mad
He was in
scientist. Yeah.
Batman,
He's a
the
mad scientist
60,
motivated by love.
the 60s series, and yeah, just like, but well, I mean, it weirdly fits that well. Like his wife must be frozen in time because it's his only way not to lose her, and then he himself, like his emotions have gone cold. It's almost like poetically tragic, and then suddenly Mr. Freeze goes from like this C-list gimmick to this weirdly, Greek tragic character, and then he also walks off with the best episode in Batman Beyond, which, like, now he's like that B+ lister, that A- lister who, when he does show up, kind of steals the show.
Mhm.
Does anybody think like he had a great portrayal of in Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Because I thought it was funny.
Oh,
I thought
he
it was
has.
funny.
I
I won't
like
say
of all
great,
the-
but I will say memorable.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, of
memorable.
all the versions, of all the live-action movie versions, to remember the tragic aspect. Arnold Schwarzenegger spouting ice puns as much as he possibly can, and
I thought it was hilarious.
I mean, I don't know. I might have to, like, I actually liked Batman and Robin when I was like a little kid the first time I saw it, because I had no ability to tell that. I had no nose for what was painful camp versus what was cool action, even though even at the time it wasn't my favorite. But it did not take me getting much older on the rewatch to be like, what the hell is this?
I realized I made an error. I was talking about the Riddler in Gotham being inspired by Batman and Robin. It's actually Batman Forever that the Riddler was.
Oh.
I was wrong. My bad.
Mhm. Interesting. Also, if you get a Switch, I want to play Animal Crossing with you when I get mine. Whee! Jen.
So, guys, like right now, aside from that, I definitely gotta make mention that an anime tuber Mother Spaceman has recently recognized Cardfight Vanguard Overdress in a little bit during like his spring 2021 like a recap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like legitimately, it's like this is like the most amount of attention like the series has gotten in a long time, aside from like the one of the worst points of history being the Color Pastel Bermuda Triangle anime. That one was just the pits. So aside from that, definitely I definitely watched like the most recent Netflix movie that they released by the name of Aloe the Alligator Boy, and I have opinions on it.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, like the choice for like singers and such for like this movie are definitely very appealing and very not like drawn out like a lot of Disney Renaissance singers, which I feel like go for like a very similar tone, which exhausts me the heck out, giving me like the implication that I don't like musicals when it's probably the fact that I didn't like the Renaissance era's like musical style, you know?
Mm.
But yeah, Aloe's like story is about him trying to embrace like reality for him beyond being closed off and being ridiculed for like his looks and such. Trying to find like a actual family that's out there, you know.
That's so sweet.
Mm-hmm. And at first, like when he approaches like someone who might appear to be like his father,
Oh wow.
he basically tries to like convince him to like change everything about yourself in order for like people to appreciate you and such. And he was kind of like visibly disgusted at the sight of him at first.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah. And then like at the end in which like the father actually learns a lesson about even if what you try to do is like basically try to hide like your oddities in order to try to accomplish some sort of like a weird revenge against like what your past is basically did to you when you were younger, it still does not give you like the greatest happiness that like one kid is actually able to even go beyond all of this. Actually, tries to be like confront
Oh my
reality.
god, my audio sucks so bad.
Wow, can you still not hear us, Jen? Hello, Jen.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I'm still having the problem with skipping audio over here.
Ring the nana phone to Jen.
Oh, sorry.
So welcome back, Jen.
Check your I don't know if you can hear us, period, but I would say check your audio inputs and maybe see if it switched it or something. Skype is weird.
Yeah, Skype has been weird with that lately.
I gotcha. And if there's like one last point I should probably mention before I pass the torch over to someone else, two things in the video game hemisphere. First of all, the Pokemon anime is actually going to be like, oh hey, you know how we're having like a bit of a lull right now with episodes for Journeys, like and such. Let's show like a preview clip in which it involves the return of Gary. Basically continuing on with like his aspirations from all the way back in Gen 4, with trying to become a Pokemon professor. We have the reappearance of Iris, who is actually crowned Unova's champion. So you can imagine easily how many anime fans are extremely upset at the news of this, because of how unbearable she was to a lot of people.
Like everybody or what?
Most people, let's just say. I mean, I can understand it, but I didn't hate Iris as much as say Ocelot.
Yeah, I have never had the fondness for Iris either.
And now to see her coming back as the champion for Unova, how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, and also we get to see the return of Ash's Pokemon again.
Ooh.
But here's the biggest news. It might seem like he's taking along one of his Pokemon along with him for a bit of a mini arc. And you want to know who is making their appearance?
Bulbasaur?
No.
Oh, what's that called? The flying, the Noivern.
No.
Ah.
Derek, what about you? You want to take a guess?
I have no idea.
Alrighty then. Well, the answer to this is actually Infernape.
Oh, okay.
AKA the ace in the hole for him from Sinnoh. The one
Wouldn't have guessed
Pokemon that
that.
has a more interesting backstory than Charizard.
Random one to bring up. Well, Charizard, I mean, backstory, sure, but Charizard had a whole flippin' character arc of his own over however many seasons it was. Like,
But no, I'm sorry, but Infernape actually has a way better character arc. I mean, first of all, we see him starting out as one of the Pokemon being trained under Ash's rival in the Sinnoh arc by the name of Paul, who was constantly abused.
you got to pull a Hosa on Paul. Yeah. If people don't know, Hosa was that guy who lost in the Stanley Cup Finals with the Penguins and then bolted the second the season was officially over to the team that beat them, saying, I just don't think the Penguins have what it takes to be a champion team. And then at the end of the very next season with him on the team, sure, the Penguins made it again. It came down to a rematch, and this time the Penguins beat the team with him on it.
Yay.
So yeah, that, but Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about that specific example, but
Except
Infernape.
this time it was the guy who jumped ship who was the hero.
I mean, no, he didn't jump ship. He was actually
out.
he got kicked out by Paul for failing to unleash his Blaze ability. And then Ash for the last minute save basically asked Chimchar to join him when he was a Chimchar. Right in front of Paul as well. So you could easily imagine the tension there.
I mean, it's a Rocky Balboa prove yourself kind of story, but it sounds like relatively confined to the idea, unless Chimchar had, I don't know, all kinds of character development episodes over time that hit home, Charizard going from Charmander in a similar position who gradually evolved into Ash's best Pokemon, who then literally evolved, and then decided it was too good for him and finally worked its way back around to seeing eye to eye with him in that that heart-to-heart Poliwrath episode.
Oh gosh, it works! Yay!
Hello.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Oh my gosh, it works. I just had to clear my history and restart, literally restart the app. Oh my goodness.
I gotcha. That's good that you can hear us again, Jen.
Yay.
Yeah, so we were in the middle of talking about Pokemon and about one of the most debatable best Ash Pokemon, Infernape, coming back.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's definitely one of those it's definitely one of those extreme highlights, especially with this the Sinnoh remakes coming out, bringing back the fan favorite Infernape, who in and of itself is basically a great story, and just seeing him continuing on, seeing I wonder how he is after that big character development and such, you know? Yeah, hopefully it's not gonna be say Goku and Dragon Ball Super, you know?
Right.
Yeah, because that's the joke, because Infernates are based off of Sun Wukong.
Oh.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
Well, now you know a new Pokemon fact.
The more you know.
Yeah. Lastly but not least, I like to bring mention to the World Ends With You anime adaptation that is coming out in the spring season. This anime has had a very controversial start. Not just from like usual fans talking about like, oh man, they changed the characterization of like the main character to make him fit like how Shield Hero did it for its main character and such. No. It had a certain band song basically being removed from the project before the anime even started.
Wow.
Remember
Doesn't
the
sound
band?
good.
Remember the band Alley?
Allie, nope.
No.
You know the guys who do the
Nope.
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 You guys don't remember the Beastars original opening? Well,
I haven't watched Beastars.
Ooh. Okay, that's a bombshell if we haven't heard it.
Sorry.
But yeah, so like Ali's drummer basically got arrested for cashier scamming like over in Japan. And as a result, they removed their song that was going to be the opening for the World Ends With You anime.
Japan's very anal about that stuff. With like you get caught with drugs or doing crime, like they'll like strip all of your mentioning from any media stuff. And yeah, I think it was like like one of the bigger characters from like the Yakuza, not the Yakuza, but like the spin-off Yakuza game that came out. Like they basically recalled the game and re-voiced over the Japanese dub of it because the main character was caught with like cocaine.
Oh
Oh wow.
no. Okay.
So yeah, like this is all very important information to know because they decided to bring for like the opening another
bless you.
remix. Yeah, oh, bless you. Another remix of the original game's opening, Twister.
Oh.
So literally, it's an anime adaptation that, because of controversy, decided to go with a remix of its original opening.
Well.
Kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to see that. Like, and from like my perspective as a World Ends With You player who actually played through the original DS title, like several years ago, I have to say I am very impressed. I honestly heard the complaints people had about the CGI for like the monsters, but at the same time, the CGI is intentionally being used that way because the monsters are supposed to look outerworldly. That's the thing about it. They're meant to like be jagged, like in comparison to like not act like seamless creatures to the world.
Yeah.
You know, so like all in all, I feel like it's a decent attempt for like a series, even if it's like cutting out a lot of stuff, including like the internal monologues for like Neku Sakuraba, like the main character, and which was more of like a jerk who really wanted to be by himself and didn't want to interact with anyone from the outside. Like that's just how jerkish Neku was for our JRPG protagonist. It was kind of refreshing. It was kind of refreshing to like play with that sort of type of character and see how he developed into like a more complete whole person, willing to lend a ear out for others and being an actual genuine friend. Yeah, and I'm not putting spoilers for like the World Ends With You here because you either need to play it for yourself or hey, maybe try watching the anime to see whether or not the games would be right for you because it is out for the Switch.
Right.
And the sequel is coming out this coming July.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I don't know what that is.
All right, second a day. You want to give your quick update to what you've been doing?
Well, I'm still playing Final Fantasy and streaming every day unless it's Saturday or Sunday on Twitch.
Oh, which one are you playing?
I'm playing Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy IX.
Yes!
I'm playing Final Fantasy X with it's a no summons run. that I'm completing right now, so it takes forever. And Final Fantasy IX is just for fun.
Yes! What a great choice.
Yeah. And also, if you get a Switch, then we need to play some Animal Crossing when I get my Switch.
Yes, we do. I need to be
Yes.
part of the. All my friends have one, and I'm the only. And I'm the only freak who doesn't have one.
That's one of the only reasons why I want to have a Switch. If that comes
It's
out
still
for
not
PC,
time. Remember,
like
at 4
if
o'clock I'll give you the
Animal
clue.
Crossing and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee comes out for PC, I have no reason to buy a Switch.
Oh my god.
Literally.
I have
Like
more,
everything else I can find, and I know that you can have like Stardew Valley
Still not
and
time,
stuff
man.
like that, but I don't think it's the same.
She's got 20 minutes. Like, really, Azrael? Don't worry. I'm keeping track of time.
Okay. This
Okay.
episode of In the Suburb with Gator and Family will continue in a moment. Or maybe it shouldn't. He's just going to mute his audio.
There needs to be like commercial. There needs to be like a commercial, like in this case.
Yeah.
You wish you had his Spirited a Family.
Yes. We all used to.
Yeah. Especially
But we
me and
have to.
Day, who are like, yeah, we'd get to it if only you would let us get on with it, pandemic.
Oh, well then. Okay. Yeah. But I actually also started to watch something again called The Circle. I don't know if anybody knows about that. And then I started on watching the The Vanguard. And what more have I been watching? I have been trying to see if I could see one of the movies that I was wanting to see, but it doesn't seem to be a thing. So I'm praying that I hope that I can get to see at least one of them before I get too many spoilers. I already got a little spoilers for one of them, and I'm just like so mad at myself, being like, I shouldn't have done that. But yeah,
Hey,
nevertheless.
I just want to ask, because this might be one of the first subjects which I'm going to bring up is one of the movies you're talking about the Demon Slayer movie?
No, that I actually watched.
All right, never mind. I don't have to worry about like holding.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to spoil anything anyway, because mostly I just want to discuss the release about it. But yeah, I just wanted to.
That I'm fine with. It's more two other movies that. Again, I'm fearing like if I say something, somebody is going to be like, "Ooh, this and that." So no, I'll keep quiet. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. Playing on my Twitch channel and like making stuff on my YouTube. I've been like waiting for a while to finish up like a animation that I'm doing, but I think maybe I have to redraw some of it. It takes like so long to make stuff like that. But it's going to be amazing when it's done. I hope. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Moving on to my amazing second.
Oh, thank you so much, dear.
Yay!
Okay, I guess the short ones, starting with those, I really keep running into Sword in the Stone clips around YouTube in that movie.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
That will never be one of Disney's greatest movies, and in fact, a few years ago, in the pre-existence of many classics in this surging age of animation, I was challenged to make a top 100 animated movies list, and I didn't even have room for it there. But nonetheless, I am kind of glad it exists. It's a weirdly offbeat sort of a movie. Like, you know, Merlin, runs into baby-faced 10-ish-year-old King Arthur. You could argue that he's older or younger in that movie. It's kind of weird. And basically has magic school bus type adventures with him and prepping him to be the king he knows he's going to be, but Arthur doesn't. And yeah, it's kind of fun. All the characters, like, I mean, some people argue, none of them became classic. None of them made an impression. And I don't think that's entirely true. Well, it's actually, some people say that's the movie's bread and butter. And it's weird. Like, none of them have, like, all-time great personalities, but it's all just enough. Like, Merlin's quirky, but intellect first wizardry, his know-it-all owl Archimedes, Kay, the brutish squire. Kay, I found your sword. This is not my sword.
Forgot my sword.
Yeah. Baby-faced King Arthur.
The greatest Cockney accents I've ever heard in my life.
And of course, Madam Mim.
Thank you for mentioning it. I was getting ready to say it. Thank you for mentioning him. Thank you for mentioning her. Thank you.
Highlight of the movie. Madam Mim versus Merlin.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's true.
That's the best. That is the best part. You can honestly fast forward the movie just to go to Mim, honestly, because if not for Merlin, honestly, Mim steals the show.
Yeah, I mean, like, still like the movie in general, but that part could go on a Disney highlights reel.
Totally. I mean, you know what? If there's anything that Disney needs to rehash, if they decided to do a series of Mim and just Arthur just competing against each other, or just some sort of like misadventures or whatever.
Yeah.
I would not be
tries to mess up King Arthur's daily learning with Merlin adventures.
Oh, pretty much. And then it could possibly be like, Mim, you said no dragons! Did I say no purple dragons?
Nope. We said no pink dragons.
Did
or
I
anything
say no
like
purple
pink dragons.
Right, perfect. I love it. It's like, I can be beautiful, but it's only skin deep, or zim, zabra, bam! I'm an ugly old creep!
No shame, Mim and proud. If only she wasn't arguably cannibalistic.
Oh,
you could almost make her your hero.
You probably could. You probably could, but I could think of worse. I don't know. But the idea of Mim's a mood. But I shudder to think of Mim becoming a subculture. I mean, there are worse figures that can get a sub-fandom of their own. And I think Mim should not be one of them, as entertaining as she is. No.
I mean, we have Shrek, we have Scar, surprisingly. If the me and proud crowd, everybody should be me and proud, but if I'm gonna show it whether you like it or not, and proud crowd got a hold of Madam Mim, I think God help us all.
I know. When it's like the me and proud, is like, is it the me, I'm a jerk and I'm proud crowd?
Just like the not afraid to be extroverted and fun and off the wall and like
but somebody could twist it to like, I'm not afraid to be evil and proud,
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like, I don't know, she's like, what would you call it, she's a chaotic neutral verging on chaotic evil, or did she want to, I mean, if she wanted to, what did she want to do to Arthur? Did she want to eat him or something? Like, if she legitimately wanted to kill King Arthur, she would have to be chaotic evil on a technicality, but
right.
Yeah, like, otherwise she just kind of seems to want to, she seems kind of like harmlessly off on her own, wanting to just live her own very weird, very nutsy life, scare the hell of anyone who wanders into her territory for lols.
Seemed to like, she just wanted to do what she wanted to do, and she just wanted to kind of like just sit. She seemed like she just wanted to like sit on her own, and darn it all, she's almost Joker. She seems Joker-esque. She just wants to sit and watch the world burn, it seems. you know, and yeah, and she's like, oh, sounds like I got a cold. Good.
Yeah.
I hope it's serious. It just seems like she's not like actively trying to like conquer like King Arthur or anything like that.
Marrow Joker almost.
Yeah, almost. She could be like just sitting around like, you know what, I'm just gonna stick to myself, and if the kingdom burns down tomorrow, I may even smile. I may smile. I may smile if the kingdom burns down tomorrow, or if a certain purple dragon decides to burn it down.
Yeah.
Madam Mim.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's hilarious.
All right.
She's a riot.
Okay, what else? Getting to the stuff. Okay, more Futurama. Finally closed out season 6 with Daylover. Got onto that. And this is right at what seems like the tail end of a surge in Futurama ranking articles, ranking seasons, episodes, what have you. Kind of glad I can join in on that, gotta say. I think it's safe to say at this point, quote-unquote, season 5, aka the 4 movies, that's going to end up as my least favorite. I think it was 3 decent movies, and that's in spite of some pretty lame parts. That they were all decent in spite of their, like, lame parts. And then one Bender's Game, which was, I don't know what to do with that. Eventually you get sick of it, like, not really picking up a whole lot of momentum, and like it's, I don't know, sort of the worst parts of the other movies almost. But that I think is going to end up as my least favorite. Season 6, I think the fandom's even more after season 6 than they are season 5, and not that they seem to really hate any season, but 6 for a second there, it was starting to seem like it had a little bit of a slow start. For a second there, it seemed like it was going to turn out to be genuinely good. I'm going to be like, is this going to be an inverse of the Friendship is Magic days, where this time the crowd is on the earlier season side, and I'm going to be like, don't know there. I think you might be, outsmarting yourselves a bit, but like, nah, then it picked up like a few too many duds. Or a couple too many duds. Futurama doesn't have a ton of duds, but a couple too many duds, a couple too many slow patches where typically solid veered closer to typically mediocre. So, okay, I do agree that, season 6 is one of the slower ones. So, I mean, I guess I'm glad that I agree with the fandom this time, more or less, but I do think it's a closer match than it gets credit for sometimes, and, I don't know. I don't think especially in the face of seeing a couple other shows where some seasons that I think got away with really letting up on the gas, and even sometimes got celebrated in spite of that. Like, I think it's worth crediting what Futurama did in season 6, 7. Couple
We're
episodes
not done with 7 yet.
Good so far. I'm worried it's gonna be like. The more balanced season 6, like, more sure of what it wants to do, but also with no great episodes or fewer great episodes, but that's just a that's a very cautious hunch. That's not anything to commit to at all yet. So there's that. Started playing Magic the Gathering, because that was one of the few geek boxes I haven't checked yet. Still at the point where basically just bought a starter deck, playing Commander deck, if any of you know what the heck that is.
Yep.
And Commander deck style, and had friends lend me their extra cards, see if they could help me patch up. Haven't actually, like, starter decks these days, because I guess, like every card game that goes through escalation, it looks like, that as much as I do need to improve, like, the extra cards that my friends don't play don't so far seem to be actual improvements, but I need to look into that more, so working on it. But we played a big 4-man match the other day where had my best performance so far. The guy who usually wins it got a dud hand, and my other friend who got me into this group, wasted no time in knocking him right out with a big grin on his face, and then the rest of us were Mexican standoffing, and I was reluctant to go for the friend who got me into the group, even though he seemed like he was the one who was building up the army and he was about to smash all of us. But yeah, it seemed like we were about to come to blows when the third guy who was still in suddenly revealed that he, had this, like, go for the insta-kill plan in motion, and he was, like, just a couple of turns away from wiping us out. So then me and my friend looked at each other and both went for him. And, yeah, I think after an early start with my friend, like, trying to dent him, but then failing, I surprisingly got to be the MVP and coming that close to taking him out for a while. But it was like, yeah, right when we had him up on his tiny hind legs, he pulled through and wiped us both out within a turn. So close, though.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, the last and my favorite, if movie geek stuff counts, film buff geek, Daylover and I, ever needing to find more entertainment, have learned the value of going way back in time to when copyright has expired or the darn movie is just so old that nobody gives a darn. And I don't know. I think that I'm really hoping that now that we're the age of, like, film criticism as this concept, as old men talking about the things that I find very refined, making every single semi-old movie sound like the same movie. I'm really hoping that, yeah, somebody who's able to sell these things to future generations will emerge, because, like, some old movies are, like, stunningly fun in ways you wouldn't expect. And I say that as someone who is usually allergic to black and white, who usually, yeah, finds my attention span dimming. And less so in the past couple of years, so maybe I'm just getting old after all, but, like, no, I am still capable of finding old movies like, oh, well, this might be fun for old men who are real nostalgic for what it was like back in the day, but, that said, like, that I brought this up at least once before, right?
Yes.
Just, like, trying to remember which movies I got to, but okay, the stuff that we've managed to see online, either because copyright free or it's so old because nobody gives a darn. It Happened One Night, the original romantic comedy, and one of the I mean, in the current context, it plays, like, really cool that they had all of those ideas back then in a setting that old with societal rules that old and stuff, and, like,
What
and then
about the
even
Fred
compared-
Astaire one?
Yeah, well, I'm getting to that, you.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, also just it plays like actually a particularly quirky one, even compared to modern day. And also the male lead may or may not have inspired Bugs Bunny by, yeah, they have, like, it's also a road trip movie of sorts, and he has to sneak some carrots out of fields as they're, yeah, making this giant trek in cars and whatnot. So yeah, munching on carrots while making his quips. And that's not just me saying that. People actually speculate he might have inspired Bugs Bunny. So there's that. And then Fred Astaire, who, let me tell you, you like Michael Jackson, you like being dazzled by dance sequences. I gotta tell you, he, like, you might want to look up a couple of these too. Like, the one that everybody goes to is called Top Hat, but, like, because that's his flagship movie, that's the one that current companies have thought to keep a tight leash on to make sure to enforce copyright and see if they can sell it to whoever's in the Fred Astaire market. But that said, there's a problem with doubling down on, like, just the one movie that people remember best so much, because, like, very rarely are people who were that famous actual one-hit wonders. Usually it was a plethora of stuff like that got them famous. And in Fred Astaire's case, the, like, quote-unquote next best thing seems to have slipped right through the cracks. And in fact, there's a lot of people who seem like the ones in the know, like the tentative MO seems to be that if you're in the know, this and not Top Hat is his best one. It's called Swing Time. And, the 4 dance sequences, relatively spaced out, so you do, I mean, if you're going to watch the movie, don't watch it just for those, but I mean, yeah, the dance sequences, like, really stunningly just energetic, and there's variety to them. There's a there's a trick the humping boss into thinking you can't dance, only to spring in on him one. There's the competition one. There's the oddly poetic one where it's like the breakup dance where the 2 romantic leads have their moment. Like they kind of reconcile their feelings on the fact that, okay, they're not sure how they feel about each other. And it's like the one where they cope with the fact that they still love each other, but for plot reasons they
Bye, Jenn.
break up. Oh, Jenn has to go.
Sorry.
Bye, Jenn.
Sorry. I did not want to be rude, or I did not want to be rude and interrupt, but I have to spirit off for now.
Okay,
Yeah.
take care.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.
I'll skip across there. All right. Oh, and finally, there's the blackface one. That's, fair warning on that. If you watch it, has a blackface number. The one thing that makes it less cringe is that it was actually intended as a tribute to one of the star dancers at the time. Like, there's no, other than a couple of cringy, jerky movements that you can tell what they're trying to do. Like, it's mostly just like a really boss dance. It actually, other than the poetic one, might be the best one in the movie, so it's kind of hard to skip. Like, they do this, he's in the spotlight so much that his shadows on the wall are, looming tall and, dancing along with him, but then, they spring it on you where he starts passing them up in speed, and they start trying to do a different dance to go along with him, but he speeds up so fast that they have to give up and walk off the stage. It's a... boss sequence there. But as for the merits of watching the whole movie, on one hand, it has a lot of, at times doesn't even seem to care about its own logic inconsistencies, so there's some facepalm stuff there, but it just barrels ahead so confidently, so sure of what it came here to do, that it actually does play like a pretty quirky and fun rom-com. Like, Fred Astaire is almost 2-bit he's a huckster and a gambler who happens to also be a stunningly good dancer, and then Ginger Rogers is the legitimate dance teacher who of course doesn't want to like him at first, but she's no nonsense gal with a great nose for business and a terrible and also terribly naive at romance, it turns out. But I don't know, they had good chemistry. Ginger Rogers once said she did everything Fred Astaire did backwards in high heels, and while Fred Astaire was the one who came up with all the choreography, she backs that up. They have dance chemistry together. She's not just mindlessly following his steps, so that's pretty awesome. And what can I say? It's considered one of the movies from the dance film era. Fred Astaire. Only one who ever possibly matched him was Gene Kelly, even though he wasn't quite as big a star at the time, he kind of dunked back on Fred Astaire by walking away with the #1 all-time greatest musical of the era, Singing in the Rain. But if Gene Kelly was the master of earth, Fred Astaire was the master of air, and the problem is, because it's dancing, there are a lot of times it's going to be partial towards light, graceful air. They did dance alongside each other once, and they went for a quirky light sort of a number, aka graceful one, tough break, Gene. Sorry, try not to embarrass yourself too much next to him. What can I say? Fred Astaire and other black and white movies. Marx Brothers 2, if you can find.
All right, and to
Oh.
give my quick wraps, because my wrap up is also sort of going into our first news story, an hour
Mhm.
into it. But before we get to that, I've been watching through some anime. The main one I just finished through is Ascendance of a Bookworm, which was pretty amazing and sort of interesting how the story evolves. And also a 26 episode series, which might continuous, so those are rare these days. And then in terms of games, let me see. Not really playing much. I sort of played more of Smash, trying to play more of my Xenoblade 2 Chronicle characters, Pyra Mithra, but yeah, just try to do some of the upper level spirits for that is rather frustrating. I was like, okay, I'll just not right now. Now I'm going to be made fun of for not being able to do that well in Smash, but oh well. And then I really just don't want to really start another big game because the one on the horizon is Returnal, which went from being okay looking to actually looking really awesome now. Which basically is like,
Interesting.
so I had it pre-ordered already. It's just like we haven't really got much stuff, and now it's looking, and from early critic reception being positively received. Let me see. So I am excited
Smash
for that.
is one of the few games I'm mediocre at, so if we ever get the chance to play each other and you can beat me, good news, you're better than mediocre.
Yeah,
I should rephrase that. Smash is one of the
weird.
few games I can play, but yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the controls are weird with Smash. Even when I customize them, they're just sort of odd. I got used to the rules, but I hate how a lot of the Smash challenges basically require you to take on 2 or 3 people at once. And if you really just want to be stubborn like me and just focus on the one character you want to care about, the Pyra Mithra, it can be frustrating in some combos. And also there's like this one stage I just want to try and unlock the spirit where like you're fighting with a disadvantage or like the ground is frozen. And like the obvious thing is to get other spirits that basically negate that. I don't have those spirits right now, so that challenge is frustrating as heck. Because I one of the counters like the floor is lava, but don't worry, it doesn't bother you anymore. But no, frozen one just continuously get randomly frozen when I'm doing it. I was like, okay, this is just infuriating. It's like I'll just take off for now. But another news and going into the news stories is I seen Demon Slayer movie yesterday. But before we get that, I guess going to saying we must go around and give everyone's intros. Well, I'm gonna first also say that was Jenn earlier. She just headed out because family stuff. But the rest of the crowd is going by random Skype order. The second opinion.
Hi there. I'm the guy who's been talking at you for the last 20 minutes, or well, technically since the start of the podcast. We all jumped in there. But from a critic first and a fan second, here is the second opinion on games that I don't play a lot of. I am not much of a gamer in the video games and not much of a video gamer. Got a couple things I can tell you about. So if it reached me, you know something must be good about it.
All right. Next up, Carlos.
He said Carlos.
Yeah, he's muted. Let's move on.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Intros.
I moved on my locator.
All right. And
How you guys doing on this fine day? I hope you guys are enjoying your times, and hopefully you guys are competing to the best of your capabilities here. Because competing is fun.
all right. And then next up, Day.
Hello, Daylover here. Come and see me on Twitch. No, just kidding. No, like this is fun, and yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy what we're talking about. Next one, yay!
All right. Now let's just go through these news stories relatively quick, just because I do want to get to the main subject, and also 2 of them are basically stuff we missed last time. Yeah, sort of a weird recording schedule. First up, like I was saying, like my other things I've been doing is Demon Slayer movie, which came out yesterday, which I seen, actually a few days ago. I think technically Thursday. And it's just going to be weird depending on when you listen to this. But yeah, the movie, for my opinion of it, was like I felt it was very good, and also I found it interesting how they chose the route of this is not a spin-off story. This is basically the season 1.5, where like you need to see this before seeing season 2, whenever that releases.
Yeah. I agree with you, yeah. That was a little weird.
But apparently very successful idea with that, which makes me curious how other series are going to handle their movie spin-offs in the future.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I cannot emphasize how ridiculously successful this movie was last year. It's like its worldwide box office is already over 500 million. It is the most
Jeez.
successful It's the most successful Japanese film in history.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So that's what's it?
Yeah.
Well, from movies made in Japan, it's taking the title away from like Princess Mononoke and films like that.
Spirited
Mm.
Away, actually.
Well, it's on its way to it.
Spirited Away passed
No,
up
that-
Princess
no, it's
Mononoke.
No,
Yeah, Spirited Away I think was the biggest one before. No wait, it
I
was.
thought the
Spirited
MO was
Away,
that only Titanic had done better than Princess Mononoke in Japan.
Wait. There was also the whole 2017 movie about like the I think it was Mamoru Hosoda. Oh no, not Mamoru Hosoda. It was
Wait, I think the
Okay,
girl who
Spirited
loved
Away did in fact dunk back on Titanic and pass it
Yeah.
up, but then this movie called Train passed up. Oh wait, no game Train. All right, no. That was just the second line of the surprisingly long title of Demon Slayer.
No, like there was this one movie I was also like I think it was A Girl Who Loved Through Time or like something like that. Actually, I think passed it. Oh no, remember it's Your Name. Your Name was the one
Yeah,
that
Your
passed
Name.
Spirited
Yeah,
Away.
Your Name. Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Was
forget
huge,
about it.
but it says here that it's not only below Spirited Away and Titanic, but also below Frozen on just how much it made in Japan. It made a lot. It was the biggest moneymaker made in Japan in a long time for that. I think since Spirited Away, but it did not in fact pass up Spirited Away.
Yeah, of
I
course.
mean, I think if you're counting global box office, it is. It is like the most
Sure,
successful.
but I mean, we're talking about most successful in Japan, or are we talking about most successful movie from Japan? Because that's
From
something a
Japan.
little different. Okay, that might be different. I'm looking at the in Japan list right now. Okay, the order is Demon Slayer, Spirited Away, Your Name, Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle, and that's where and a bunch of American movies spliced in between. But yeah.
Yeah, and also apparently it's doing decently well in the U.S. too. I think its Friday box office like 9.5 million, which for an anime movie is really high, and wouldn't be surprising if it ended the weekend with over 20 or 30 million, which is small compared to what's made else in the global market. But compared for an anime movie, that's really good.
Or I'm like, I don't get as excited about global box office for at least like at this point in time the modern classics versus the as close as they get to, or as close as anime gets to old classics, is that I don't think we were as open to anime back in the day. Like Spirited Away, here it was. Did it win the Oscar for Best Animated Movie, or did it just get nominated?
No, it won.
Okay,
It was like he's like the only non-U.S. person to win Oscar for animated feature.
Yeah, and then
Unless
unless
Wolfwalkers wins tonight, which I really hope so.
Yeah.
Come on, Wolfwalkers. Show up soul. You can do this. I promise you, you can get all the streets. I'm sorry.
Get around to seeing Soul already, see if it's warranted. I mean,
that and Wolfwalkers too.
Well, Wolfwalkers is so flippin' hard to find. Like, I guess I could.
I want the Blu-ray of that so freaking much, but like Apple was like does not even mention at all like if there's going to be a Blu-ray release. It's like infuriating. So probably might have to eventually import it from somewhere else when the Blu-ray drops.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess. If we're going with which like if one of them is somehow the quote-unquote hack, like compared to the other, I guess my favorite Pixar trumps my favorite Studio Ghibli, for example, but I mean, like, all the way down the line, it's a match, like, purely on merit. I would not mind some, well, in this case, we're not talking about an anime, so we're talking about Wolf Walkers, but I mean, yeah, like, I'm not opposed to a movie like that beating a Pixar classic. I just have to get around to watching them to figure out what the heck I'm rooting for. I just need to get no sleep tonight, watch both of them all the way through before the Oscars start, and then pull my all-nighter after that. So, in other words, no way in hell it's going to happen, but maybe someday I'll tell you which one I actually prefer.
Hmm.
All right. I guess moving on to other news, because I do sort of want to go through these quickly, is actually there's a lot of Sony news coming back to back, which is sort of weird, but just that's how it happened. Sony is no longer, in other news, Sony is no longer closing down the PS3 and Vita stores, which I didn't bring up before, but yeah, they're going to close down the PSV, Vita, and PS3 stores, and a lot of people got upset, and Sony's backing away from all those except for the PSP, which collectively everyone seems to go, okay, we understand that one.
Hmm. Okay.
I guess moving on then.
Yeah.
But
Wait.
into
What were we talking about for Sony?
like Sony, like they're not closing down the PS Vita and the PS3 store online stores.
Oh,
They were
that.
going
Mm-hmm.
they were going to, and then like in the summer, but they canceled that. The only one they're closing now is a PSP store.
Okay, honestly, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's fine because the PS Vita honestly holds the capacity for the PSP and itself. So it's not so much of a loss, thankfully. I mean, I should know. I did play the PS Vita for Persona 4 Golden. That was before the PC ports happened.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
hopefully they don't actually close. Like they keep the stores up until they actually offer full or partial backwards compatibility, which is all what we're looking for, really. Not
Exactly.
PS Now. But in other news, like we have other missed stories, which is stuff that was sort of released right around when we were recording, or specifically when I was creating my news wrap up last time. One is another Sony one is Sony signed a release deal with Netflix. Then also sort of updated that they have another release deal with Disney, where essentially for the next, I think 2022 for several years, all Sony movies will be going streaming first on Netflix. So the next Spider-Man animated films and other Spider-Man movies will go on Netflix first, and the Venom movies and all that.
And we still don't know if it's possible to be as big a success as the days of just like full-blown theatrical releases. So just when...
Oh, no, they are getting a theatrical release. They're doing a theatrical run first, and then they're going to be released on Netflix as a separate thing.
I thought you said they were just straight up going to do the simultaneous release.
Oh, no. It's even in the contract that they have. Sony was the one most defending keeping a theatrical release. That's why they keep pushing back Bond. And also they don't have a successful streaming platform that's not anime. So unlike the other competitors, they have motivation to keep the theatrical run going as strong as possible. And they basically signed a Netflix deal, which makes more sense because Sony's sort of a third party now since their I think it was Crackle. Yeah, that was their streaming thing that failed horribly, was Crackle. So yeah, they're going to release first on Netflix, and then they also have like another deal with Disney. So like the Spider-Man ones will come like 6 months after that onto Disney Plus, which is like that's a new information deal.
Cute.
So Sony's basically gaming all the systems right now, which is probably smarter than starting their own like another streaming platform.
Sony Plus.
Yeah, I think collectively we don't want any more. Unless the new one combines Crunchyroll and Funimation into a mega app. I think we'll be okay with that, but not any actually new stuff.
Also, it says there, actually, as it turns out, that Spirited Away versus Your Name globally is razor thin close. Like, 383 million to 380 million, but that's with Your Name's re-releases, and it's still the one that fell a little short.
I think they also re-released Spirited Away, because I know it did pass Spirited Away for a while, so they might have brought back. Because I know for a fact Your Name, because it made news stories and all that, it surpassed Spirited Away. So I think they might just have a few more re-releases.
Both got re-releases, but yeah. Even if Spirited Away had to fight dirty to come back one more time and do it, it did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Spirited Away is nice.
After its original one, it got run. Can't talk today. It got re-released in China in 2019. China political tensions finally, or I don't know. Actually, I don't know if they eased up, but yeah, they were popular enough in China after enough piracy for China to be like, all right, release the darn thing, and that seems to have been what tipped the scales back in its favor.
And then the final news story, which we missed it last time, but it was basically just releasing, so I didn't want to bring it up in case you're worrying about spoilers, but I don't even mention any story plots, is Attack on Titan has ended.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The manga has ended last time, and the anime is basically on hiatus until it basically catches back up, I think in December or in winter of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
That's, this is like legitimately, we just saw like a very much a monumental series end. It's mind-blowing, you know? Like, remember when Attack on Titan was like the showstopper to bring back anime to the mind of the mainstream back in 2013?
Mm-hmm.
It's one goddamn great opener that we all remember.
Yeah, for sure, Sissa. Sissa. No, that's not. Wait, why was I singing the second opening? No, wait, that wasn't the second opening. That was the third opening. But
the first one had the Jaeger thing where everyone was screaming Jaeger.
Yeah, but now it's just like, would you sing it after what happens in the latest season?
Alright.
That's the joke.
But with that said, I guess we move on to the main topic of the show, which is our favorite games from last gen, which, to be specific, because Nintendo screwed things up technically with Gen, we're going from fall 2013 when the PS4 and Xbox One? Yeah, that was their naming system is confusing me still. Xbox One and PS4 was released in fall 2013. That's when we're starting the gen, and then going to fall 2020 when the PS5 and Xbox One X or Xbox X. I literally am forgetting the name scheme because it's just so stupid. But everyone gets what I mean.
And that's the only games playable on those two systems?
No, I would say that's a year time frame, so you can include the Switch/Wii U in that time. That's why I gave the time frame in that thing, just because the Switch, like I said, Nintendo sort of made it harder to say technically last gen because the Switch is still current gen, but also last gen. So,
what about like PC games or something?
Well, that's PSCs in that frame too. Any PC game that's released new within that same can count.
Okay.
That's why I said I broke this up. Also, I want us to first talk about our pure favorite last gen games, but also if you want to have any games you played last gen, but could have been a re-release of an older game or an older game just straight up.
Cool.
Sort of like how a lot of people played Okami for the first time when Okami HD came out for the PS4 and Switch.
Yeah, but you seem excited, so what do you have?
Oh, you want me to go first? I was going to have you go first, but...
Oh, okay.
Well, I think you and... Well, It's Day or
I was gonna say
you're probably the biggest gamer. I don't know if Day or Carlos are competitors there.
Well, I do play, as you say, like on the PC, but I don't have a PlayStation 5 and I don't have a Switch yet, so I can't say. And with me and like what have just been released and stuff like that, I don't know about. But when it's my turn, I'll try to talk about something that I like to play.
Okay.
Alright.
Carlos, you
But
want to
actually,
fight DC for the status as biggest gamer, or is he just our default?
well, actually, I just want to,
opener?
before you
Probably
start, I
bigger for a
guess, to
console.
get this out of the way, because I actually had a fun little game to play, which I guess
Oh.
can go into our favorites. Is thanks to that PS5, I think it's actually on a PS4 feature now. Is they keep track of your hours you played your games. How
Yes.
accurate that is still to be determined, but
Steam does that too.
yeah, Steam's been doing that for a while.
Mhm.
PlayStation just did it, and they did it retroactively, so a lot of the older games you've been playing, it was tracking it. Now it just tells you what it was tracking. But I was just gonna say, you want to play guess my top 5 played PS4 era games. Number 5 is going to include sort of a 3-way tie with 2 PS4 games and then another Switch game. They're all about 105 hours, so that one's a weird one. So who wants to guess the games within the sort of 5-way tie, the 3-way tie?
I would honestly, the first one is a very obvious pick, Bloodborne.
No.
What is that called with
anti-obvious?
The lady with the hair around her? What is she called? Baronetta?
I have not played Bayonetta.
No.
Like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or Soul Calibur or something.
Horizon.
Horizon Zero Dawn, no.
Ah.
All right, you want me to give? I'll give this one away because it's weird. Going with the 2 PS4 ones first. They're about the same. It's like I think one was 107, one was 105 hours played. Is Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, which is the re-release one, which is frustratingly harder in some parts. And then the other one was Black Ops 3.
Oh.
Which surprised me. And then the other one, which I'm going to include here, which is sort of harder to compare because I only have its save file because it's actually not on PlayStation 4. So it's sort of like the biggest save file hour on there, but also that doesn't include other, because the PS4 one like tracks everything.
Yeah.
So even though it's 105, it's probably the real number 5. So that's why I'm going to mention it, which should have been obvious since I mentioned it was not the PlayStation game. My number 1 played Switch game, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, at 105 hours in game clock time.
Yeah, that was why I was thinking about the lady in hair, because of about like that. The Xenoblades.
Yeah.
Almost looks like each other a little bit.
The number 4, does anyone want to guess what number 4 is? Which jumps up to 137 hours.
Is it also a PlayStation 4 game?
Yeah, the rest of them are PlayStation 4. The only Switch one that was like that had a lot of hours in the hundreds was Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
The new God of War.
No.
Yeah.
This game you actually might have played or might be interested in playing.
Oh, Bioshock?
No.
Nah.
I have played those games all going on. Their playtime is just shorter because they're not.
Yeah. Oh, Ratchet and Clank, maybe.
No, but the recent one I think had like 50 hours in that, which I just platinumed.
Curses. I can't guess it.
All right. Number 4 on here with 137 hours is Dragon Age Inquisition. A game that helped me get through a tough spot in my life and also was a very good game, especially after switched over to easy mode, which made it less of a turn-based game and more of a action game, which was significantly more enjoyable. But that's to say, that's one you might play just to know you're into PC gaming and Dragon Age. Actually, is that on the Steam store again or not? I know EA is weird with that.
I don't know. Sorry.
All right. Number 3 with 139 hours. Any guesses?
No, because I guess. Oh,
This
I
is weird. I know this. But I think this is funny. All right, 139 hours is Black Ops 4,
Oh.
which makes sense because I'm going to mention the other games coming up because I feel I played Black Ops 3 more, but this positioning, something else might have cut in with that.
I see, yeah.
All right. Any guesses at number 2, which jumps up to 330 hours played?
Wow. That's almost as much as I've been playing Final Fantasy. I don't know. Like, the other games, like, is it a theme?
No, it's rather random.
Oh, damn. And well, like, no, then I don't know.
All right. Next up is, which actually someone already guessed earlier, is Bloodborne, which I played for 330 hours.
Oh, Bloodborne.
So many My Little Pony themed characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the odd one out. It's like, yeah, there's a big jump. And then my number 1 played PS4 Air game with 556 hours. Any other guess?
No.
All right. Is Overwatch.
Oh, Overwatch.
Which that's what I said. That's what I said. But I think Black Ops 3 sort of got cut short because when Black Ops 4 came out, I was sort of done with Overwatch. So that might have given it the edge to pull ahead there. Because I sort of became tired of Blizzardness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to do that because I felt that covers a few of the bigger games this gen, like I said, Overwatch, which became extremely popular.
Yeah.
Then sort of died out. I feel. Well, it's still ongoing, but yeah. Okay, I guess let's go around. Those are just the hours played, not necessarily my favorite games this gen. But yeah, that was the fun little stat to share, just because I know that one jump from like the Bloodborne and Overwatch like more than doubles the other things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess what's some of their favorite games from last gen?
Well, we were talking about it earlier, so I'm gonna say Smash 4 and 5. Was Smash 4 last gen, or was that further back?
What was it played on? Because only Smash Ultimate is the one that's last current gen.
Yeah, none of
3DS
us
and Wii U.
has a newer console, so.
I think it was 2014, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I guess there was technically there was like a Wii U Smash that also got on 3DS, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it seems like it was it ended up as sort of what would you call that? A bridge chapter. It was the first one for a while after Brawl came out, but now everybody seems a lot more excited about the current Smash.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I think because that's what it's described as like, yeah, I forgot that one actually was released, but I do remember it now because of the 3DS version. Which I didn't play, but I just know it had like weird changes and all that.
Yeah, the characters, well, like the mediocre occasional player, like the most obvious thing I knew was that like I mean, okay, before my best characters were either just the like close range favorites, Ike, maybe Marth, or the exact opposite, like the long range favorites, like speed favorites like Pikachu or Toon Link. In Smash 4, my best character was Yoshi of all characters.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, like, a lot of the changes there didn't suit me that much, but Yoshi, it was like all of his, air hits, all of his melee hits, they were more, like, concise. They seemed to, cover him better. All of his, what else? Like his specialty moves, they were slightly reinvented in ways where I could just, somebody could give you the technical terms better than I could, but yeah, I could kind of feel the right time to use them a little better. His grabs were as good as ever, so yeah, I got better with him and worse with everyone else, and then the new Smash came along, and my best characters were what they were before again, but yeah. What can I say? I don't know if the new Smash counts as a last generation game, so I might be stuck going with Smash 4, but it was an interesting change of pace. It was a proud moment as like easily the least Smash player who actually played the game among my friends to, hit my stride with Yoshi and become semi-competitive in the group. I think I actually passed up the other mediocre guy in the group with Yoshi.
Yeah.
So there's that. I didn't intend to hog the spotlight, so does anybody else have anything else to contribute there before I bring up something else?
Again, I don't have any next-gen games, but besides the obvious, that is Final Fantasy IX and Final Fantasy X, there's Final Fantasy VIII, and then I started on playing Stardew Valley again, but the extension of that, and I don't know if it's new enough to count in here. And then I started on playing Stellaris with one of my friends' book cover, and that's a thing, but like I'm not good at it. I still need to figure that out. Somebody had like invited me to play Among Us, but I don't think that's a game for me. So yeah, I want like as a second maybe start on playing Magic again if I can find a place that's online and free where you can play with other players, because the computer is really bad. Well, we have Yu-Gi-Oh, yes, but you wanted to play Magic, so.
No, I'm just saying you want it to be like what people know they do with Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yes, I guess so. Yeah.
But
But that's the games I play.
Well, like
right.
Final Fantasy though, those weren't even last generation, were they? Those were like before that.
Well, it depends on how you look at it, because it had been re-released for Steam, so I don't know if that counts or not. And I also just said like from the start that we're not sure if it counted or not, so don't add me there. Yeah.
I mean, like I would have brought up Dragon Quest, but 9
I don't play Dragon Quest. That's
no, I mean
the
like
thing.
me because Dragon Quest is the one game series I genuinely love.
I'm sorry, I don't play that.
I'm not talking about you, darn it. I'm saying why.
No, but I'm
playing
RuneScape with you. I don't know.
Are you hearing what is coming out of my mouth, woman?
Yes.
I'm saying that if I could go back that far, then I would have brought up Dragon Quest instead of Smash.
Oh. Well, doesn't it have a re-release? Yes or no? Dragon Quest.
Well, actually, yes, but I'm pretty sure Dragon Quest 9 was until 11 came along. 11 is the one I could have actually gotten on my list, but I would have had to have been quicker to the punch with it. Like it came out in the last couple of years when my schedule was jam-packed. I guess it would count as a last generation game, but then there was 10, which is the series Redheaded Stepchild, which I don't know if even, did that ever get released over here?
I have no clue. But as I said to Jen, if I get a Switch, like the only 2 games that I'm interested in right now is the Animal Crossing and the Let's Go Eevee, and that's also a reason why I'm like holding back, because if it gets released on for PC, it can happen. I have seen that happen before with some of the Pokemon games. Then I don't know. Like, am I going to wait just so I can save. And I also need to save up money for something really important to me. So yeah, no more consoles for me.
Gets my bride. Does the groom get the bride a wedding present? Probably not. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Oh, that's sweet. But I want to give you something too, though.
No. We both got birthdays coming up. Maybe that's more appropriate. That aside, though, yeah, Dragon Quest IX was still for the DS, so that might be a little too far back. But I mean, the Dragon Quest games,
who cares?
They're masterpieces.
I'm also a little like, can it just be games that we like? Because I have no clue what is next gen or last gen or whatever gen. I only know one gen, and she's gone.
I think the MO on Dragon Quest versus Final Fantasy was like, Final Fantasy's better if you're gonna play with friends. Dragon Quest is better if you're gonna play solo. But either way, they're both damn good at both sides of it.
Like, Final Fantasy is a solo game too.
Yeah, I think
I know the newer ones is online where you can play with your games, but the ones that I'm talking about is solo games. So don't buy them if you want to play with friends.
That in no way contradicts what I said. It's just like that.
Yes, it does.
The MO. No, it does not. They're both boss at both aspects, but like the scale tipper, if you were gonna argue that Final Fantasy is a better game, you would focus on its superior group play, and if you were gonna argue that Dragon Quest is a better game, you would focus on it. They all have the potential they all have an aspect where you can connect with other players. Even if you don't have to focus on that.
That's the newer ones. I don't know anything about those.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a good idea. I decided to include the category of games you played last gen.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ninja, that I'm not having
Quest,
the means for games.
No, like I said, that's why I included the category, just because the games you played last gen that got re-releases and all that. That's why I included, because it's sort of like when you play a game is now becoming so weird with like Steam and hopefully PlayStation and Xbox, where it's
then Final Fantasy X and 9 counts because it was re-released. And 8 too. Woo.
And 12, which I eventually got to get around to playing.
Ugh, no. I don't know still if I want to try that. What were you saying?
I still am a Final Fantasy novice. I still have yet to explore the multiplayer thing on Dragon Quest, but it's like a it's like a setting on an option on the side, one of those Pokemon Center type places you go into, and it gives you the option to connect and stuff. But I mean, I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy had that too. And
well, then it's recent games, because the older ones that I'm talking about have no things where you can connect and play with your friends.
Okay, well, some expert gamer on that kind of stuff, when they did or didn't introduce that, or which one of us is totally out in left field there, comment on that. But yeah, that aside, I think that Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy are big, I think they're, if I'm not mistaken, the two front of the pack games at what they are, and the Final Fantasy is obviously the one that has more name brand value, but I think Dragon Quest is like one of the, word on the street, if you're not looking for interconnected group play, it's actually the better game. And I'd be surprised if I don't end up thinking at least that much, because I do just love the hell out of Dragon Quest.
I love Final Fantasy, so
Oi. Star-crossed lovers, no matter how much we butt heads over our games.
Yeah. We still love each other. And I potentially want to try to play Dragon Quest. In some part in the future. Like
I'll
when
join the other team
I'm
too at
with
some
you.
point and try Final Fantasy, but
Okay. Like you have to okay, I guess like Final Fantasy 9 would be more your speed. I don't think 10 would be a good start for you.
Also, as nothing as I know about Final Fantasy, I remember that way back in the old that guy with the glasses days, that the Spoony one said that the Final Fantasy games from 10 on or something like that were these hack jobs that
Oh yeah,
Final
agree.
Fantasy fans didn't love or something like that.
Yep, I totally agree. Like, Final Fantasy X-2 is crap.
Well,
like really, like I.
Like the
Yeah,
10, 11,
but that's
12
also
or
why
something
I've been
like
like
that.
so like being a little like cautious with playing like fewer further Final Fantasy games, because I don't want to be so disappointed, because what I did was something really stupid. I took my Final Fantasy 9 and 10 and traded in for 10 too. I have never been so disappointed when I got home, and like I was so excited to play with all of the characters and like go into this new world with the same game mechanics, because they showed that in a intro, and then being robbed of my characters, being robbed of my way that you play your characters, and being robbed of like main story. Well, the main story is nice, but it's still like totally weirdish. If you don't complete it right, you're just going to be really disappointed and sad, which also made me angry. at least 9 and 10 has, like, 10 is also ending sad, but that has some merit to it. Like 10-2 is just like, oh, here you go, that's what you get for like I don't know how many hours of gameplay where you couldn't find your way without a guide, and where you couldn't do XYZ without seeing a cutscene that's 10 minutes long of females like losing their clothes and being like half naked. And I'm just like, that's fine if you're into stuff like that, but it becomes boring after the first like 10 times they have changed clothes. Like, it's interesting the first couple of times, I will admit, but that's it. Well, like, yeah, it's not like it's not beautiful. It's amazing to look at, and the sound is also really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it for me, sadly.
Tragic. You remind me of younger, more naive me going into the theater excited for Pirates of the Caribbean 3.
Yes. Well, Pirates Caribbean 3 is actually better. I would rather watch that than I would play Final Fantasy X-2 again.
I stand by what I said. But
yes, but you know what I'm saying. I also feel like that's a little not like okay, but yeah.
And also, speaking of last gen games, you brought up the one that I think I'm playing the most of all here, Old School RuneScape, released in 2013 as a throwback game, but heck, I just saw a fresh review for it, giving it a high score.
That I will agree with.
Phrasing it as a game that's actually gotten better with age in spite of the flawed grinding mechanics. And surprise. I mean, still play new RuneScape 2 sometimes. I mean, it's hard to give up all that progress I made. Little middle school me, spending more time than I probably should have after wrestling practice after school each day. But hard to give up all that grinding, but still, going back and starting again in old school RuneScape, knowing how to grind, how to level up. It's fun to be smart at this game for a change, by which I mean not that smart, but at least a grown-ass man. Which pretty much everybody was, I guess, is the open secret, and if it even counts as a secret. But yeah, back in the day, all ages play RuneScape and the like, but it's fun being decent at it for a change, to at least be able to strategize in a way that isn't totally out in left field. And enjoy that sort of dry British humor that I don't think I fully appreciated that it has. You complete the quest, the Corsier's Curse. Go to the island where the entire ship's crew has been stricken with this illness that stops them from so much as getting off the floor, and they all think that some mysterious creature or alliance on this island is responsible, and when you go and investigate and talk to these mysterious creatures, they look at you funny and say, "You're weird." And it turns out it was just the ship's cook poisoning the food so he could throw them off his trail, suspicion-wise, and convince them that they need him more than they do. I don't know. Like, all the quips in context about how clueless these guys are because they're just so determined to believe in some kind of curse. It's actually pretty funny.
All right. I guess going on to my things, like I said, I guess might as well knock some of the games I mentioned off. My actual most played time is, let me see, I guess the Dragon Age Inquisition. Like, I really love that game just because it had a nice, fun sort of balance of like depth in terms of like all the little side quests you can do, but also just it was just a fun little story and just extended. It was just a good old balanced like Bethesda game before they sort of went to shit for a few years. No, not Bethesda. I mean, gosh, what am I thinking of? BioWare. Got my B studios mixed up.
I was almost going to say Sony, but
no, I'd say both of them actually sort of true because both Bethesda and BioWare did not, basically after Dragon Age Inquisition time, they did not do well. But like Bethesda, I think, sort of doing okay with Fallout 4, which basically can be summarized as HD Fallout 3. And then after that, really not. But let me see. But yeah, Dragon Age is just a fun game, and like also like just helped me get distracted for some bad stuff that was happening at the time, and yeah, just a fun game. And then also off the list is like I said, I keep bringing it up, but I love Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Is still my favorite Switch game. It's just a good story. It reminds me of Mass Effect 2 in terms of like just how important like the side characters' quests are. While those games are technically, and Mass Effect, it's technically optional. You're sort of a fool not to go to their like quest. I'll just be straight up blunt with that. Like, who doesn't? Unless you're a speedrunner. Like their companion quests or whatever they're called. Like, you really want to develop those because those are add so much to the game. But like in Xenoblade, it's basically they don't give you the option. Those are just mainstay story elements to help develop the side characters. So it's not just the main character, which is that I really appreciated that. All the main characters of your cast do have their big moments in the story, which I feel was very good. And the combat's is complicated, but it does build over time. And yeah, I just love that game. And then also on the list is jumping up, I guess, is a lot is Bloodborne, which is just such a smooth game. Like it's just a nice, it's like basically a refinement of the Demon Souls, Dark Souls formula, where it just has that nice fast pace, adding that little basically health recovery if you attack enemy right after effect element really does change it up because it really does encourage you to be more aggressive and not just passive. And then the aesthetic is also like Victorian werewolves and all that, and
we like that. Game. We do like that.
And then also, I guess, Overwatch, which I do have to hand it to Bethesda, another B studio that's gotten questionable things. Like, wow, there's a lot of B studios have been B-named studios that have not been doing well lately. But it's just a very fun team based shooter. With very good characters and great animations when they release them. And then I really appreciate how they made the support and tank classes actually feel fun. My most of the score of the game is because I did not like how they're treating Mercy.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Because they became very okay, we're balancing not because of balance, we're balancing because whatever. We don't want to keep a meta in the Overwatch League Championship. We don't want to keep one meta there too long, so we're going to change things up just because. Basically, they became too focused on the tournament instead of the actual regular fans, which, yeah.
Yeah.
Carlos, you still there?
Carlos, come back.
Can you
blame it all on me?
Because I know he definitely wants to talk about Persona at some point.
The Persona 5, yeah. Actually, also one that I have been surprised about is the new Bioshock. It looks amazing. I have only played the older one, so I don't know anything about this newer one.
Bioshock 2 or Bioshock Infinite?
The Infinite. I have not tried that yet. But I have saved Little Sister in 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah, I'd say Bioshock Infinite is a very different style game, but it's basically loved for different reasons than the original Bioshock, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think it's a game for me no more, sadly. But when I played it, it was nice. I'm not that much for horror and gore anymore, so yeah.
Well, I said Bioshock Infinite is much more of an action game, which, like I said, is.
Oh, then maybe I would try. If I have
there is still violence, but it's not like horror.
Yes, no, but if it's Fallout and Fallout New Vegas is it's on my tolerance level, and also something like Diablo or Red Alert or stuff like that, Command and Conquer. It's on there and I can play it, but I can also myself I can turn off for example blood, gore and existential scenes. That goes for Mortal Kombat 2, I will just say.
Yeah, I think, like I said, if it's like a horror thing, you're not it's definitely Bioshock is much more. Bioshock Infinite is much more of an action game. There's violence and all, but it's much more bright and colorful. I think there is.
Yeah, because I saw somebody play it on Twitch, and I was just it looks amazing, but I'm just having that fear in my brain that it's going to be like the old ones and scare the pants out of me. Because 2 did that. 2 got me.
Yeah, I don't. It's definitely not as horror themed. I think there is one level where that goes back to creepiness, but I think that's the exception and short.
Okay, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind one.
Otherwise, most of the game is basically in wide open areas, and
yeah.
Anybody remember what their first horror movie ever was? Yeah, I get to see me some gore and badass scary in the theater.
My cousin used to babysit me when I was a kid, to watch Candyman, so that.
Ooh, that's a good one. Mine is a toss-up between Nosferatu and Terminator.
Terminator's not a horror movie.
Well, like when you're a little kid and you're seeing like him being squished under that stuff
Yeah, I would
or
say
being burned in the lava, I will say that's not pleasant.
I wouldn't
Suck.
say the original Terminator is horror, but I would say it's a thriller. While the other
No,
ones are
and
more action.
like there's also that scene where she
It's scary
stands at
aspects.
close your ears second. There's also this scene where she's at the place at the playground, and that image still haunts me. Like that's yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I won't say horror, but I definitely do understand why you could say it's a thriller. Where it's
Yes.
basically like it does have intense and sort of like emotional, like scary-ish moments. Like I said,
Well, like
I won't
then
say
I
But
guess
like
Nosferatu.
Aliens, plural, that everybody says, well, technically that's a thriller. I'm like, okay, it's intimidating enough so that I would also rank it alongside horror movies and talk about how it beats a lot of them at the game they're playing. Like Terminator, yeah, that's one where I could say, yeah, more of a thriller.
Hmm. Well, yeah.
Although, yeah, I kind of wish that I could say that was. I'd take saying that was my quote unquote horror movie, but it didn't really scare me when I was 10 and watching it. My first in the theater with my friend was The Grudge.
Oh, The Grudge.
We didn't even think it was scary at the time when we just hit 13. Hey, our first PG-13 horror movie. We were actively making fun of it the whole time in the theater.
All right, but I guess Carlos, you back?
I think
Yeah,
so.
I'm back. I'm back.
All right, I was say, so what are some of your favorite games from last gen, like PS4 era?
I mean, like, let's see, like, I mean, the original Persona 5 was indeed something of like a visual highlight for me. Like, just oozing with style and such. Combine that with, like, it kind of felt like a very interesting, like, early game in comparison to, like, say, the other Personas. Like, but then things really got bad, like, in the middle portion because, you know, the infamous Okamura Palace. Follow that up with like just the earlier character writing for like Akechi, just and also the pure ignorance like and ignoring like Haru as the last party member for so long. It's like yeah, the game kind of felt like a bit half cooked at those certain points. Um, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it's like the best, but it was indeed like a game. Then there's also the Digimon Cyber Sleuth duology. I would say was a very interesting series for like Digimon to go into to like attract like the older fans of like the original IP with like a Shin Megami Tensei playstyle game, two games in which like one of them featured like a generic red-headed protagonist, meanwhile the other one dealt with like a main character that was viewed as the side character who was a hacker. Which both like the first journey wasn't really like interesting because it was a stereotypical like anime plot, like following under the footsteps of like Summer Wars, aka our war game. And then like the second one was more about like, what happens if certain people break, if certain people get removed from their lives? Let's see what it does to people, and includes some interesting Digimon that haven't been showcased in like in main media since the comics.
Yeah.
Not even sure which ones you'd be referring to there.
No.
What? Wait, what? The Cyber Sleuth games, you know, like original Digimon.
The Digimon that haven't been showcased save for the comics, like
yeah,
what,
yeah, like
Leomon?
no, Leomon has always been in the forefront for the anime. No, I'm talking about stuff like Arukenimon, which is a Digimon that is so powerful that in its baby form can devour champion levels. Like, and it just gets worse and worse as it digivolves until it gets into like its final state, which is considered super ultimate, aka a stage beyond Mega.
Mm,
in which is
sounds
just like,
interesting.
yeah. Oh yeah, and then there's also like this nice little like interesting new evolution that they gave to Wormmon from like a Digimon 02.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, in which it became like a nice, beautiful butterfly instead of like a humanoid Beedrill.
Yeah, when the
mm,
villain started to redeem himself.
Yeah, I mean like the Ken storyline is one of those like great ones from like original Digimon seasons, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see much of Digimon 2, but I mean, my brother was real into renting those, and somehow the first one he picked out from that generation was the Ken turns away from the dark side episode where Wormmon dies. I'm like, well, that's something.
mm.
Yes. Truly a horrible event.
Although seeing TK abruptly like be this badass was pretty fun. It's like this Ken
Yeah.
smacks him right in the face with the whip, and he just like, yeah, checks how broke the skin is with his hands. Like, come on, do you really resort to fighting every time you?
Some things
I
don't go
can't think
your
of
way.
anything else. I guess so. Well, there's a time for everything, and right now's a pretty good time to talk. But on the other hand, and then he starts beating the hell out of Ken.
Yeah, and all of that was just because of the whole thing about like getting Devimon's data for like Chimeramon.
Yeah. Devimon, like, I remember Devimon only actually featuring there for a couple of seconds. Did he, like, follow that up at all, or was that?
Like basically Devimon's data kind of helped make Chimeramon become uncontrollable.
Okay, well, but yeah, like, it seemed like he was mainly there for TK to have, yeah, older and wiser flashbacks about.
Yeah, I mean, like, it could have been interesting if we would have developed more of that angle for TK, like, sort of like bringing out a more math side to him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, it definitely had it to, I don't know, what would you even call TK in the series? He was like well, weirdly enough, he was like the Matt, but without the insecurity eating him alive.
Yeah, I mean, like, even though, like, he was separated, like, his parents were separated and such in the forest, it's just like, he managed to get through those issues earlier than Matt did.
Yeah. Like he was, like they played him as the, yeah, veteran who's still on the team, or like, I've been doing this since I was a wee youngin', since I was a baby. Although, and even in the original series, though, I guess they did kind of build that up for him, like how he ended up being the, yeah, key player to pull through against Piedmon when they were up on their hind legs against him, and he pulled out Magna Angemon.
Oh, yeah, Magna Angemon, you know, the one that was able to seal off Piedmon at the end when even the Megas couldn't stop him. It's just like,
Yeah, he was
yeah.
able to get the best of him for an exchange and reverse his total rout, and then they had a Piedmon and Stormtroopers versus entire Digidestined and allies.
Yeah, but like, what about? Do you remember Black War Greymon's arc?
No, I think I missed that.
Dang it! Like, it was really interesting, especially seeing him interact with like Ty's Agumon. Like about like trying to figure out what is the purpose of life when you're in necessarily.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Like the one I went back, because I mean, I think I ended up like seeing the first streak of episodes and then skipping basically to the end. We went back for Myotismon though, and you realize that Digimon crammed in a lot of cringy dialogue back in the day. Like, him facing down Gatamon about how she has chosen to follow her dreams. Like, did the writers honestly think that sounded good when they wrote it down?
Mm. Maybe.
It's like the cringiest, stilted. You have decided to follow your dreams. How could you do this thing? My dreams are bigger than the biggest of big. Like, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Except without the charm.
All right, getting back to games. I guess I also feel, as mentioned, sort of as a more PlayStation gamer, Sony's really stepped up their game this gen, and actually rivaling Nintendo in terms of like console exclusive stuff, which I feel like they go over. Which I've really enjoyed a lot of the content, like I'm trying to remember, or like Uncharted 4, which really was a nice end off to that series. Then going on to, like I already mentioned, Bloodborne, which I freaking adore. And then going from the first party stuff, they had let's try to remember, there's Horizon Zero Dawn, which I really can't wait for the sequel. There's let me see, again, orders that's confusing me. God of War, which really revived that series in a surprising way, both in combat and also liking Kratos as a character, both of which are very big accomplishments. And then also Spider-Man, I think in 2018, I think it was 2018. Followed that, Insomniac finally owned by Sony again. Actually, finally owned by Sony at that point. And then, let me see. Then there's The Last of Us 2, which I didn't play just because I didn't like the controversy around it. But Ghost of Tsushima, which I really loved. A very just sort of like basically the Assassin's Creed Samurai game we never got, but much better.
Mm-hmm.
I play Assassin's Creed, although I did just come across the Dan Boole song to one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like where he's singing the hardcore version of Alouette, Jotte Alouette, Alouette, Jotte.
Can I just say one thing? Can we all agree, or at least my assuming is like, when the Assassin's Creed games do better at this point, they just freaking ditch that weird modern world plot and aliens and whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
Or like you're going back in your ancestors' memory. Can you just like have an ongoing conspiracy with these characters without having the modern stuff in there?
Yeah, my brother wished that too. Like, I have never played Assassin's Creed myself, but I see my brother play it so much, so yeah.
Did Dan Bull pick a spin on a French song because there was a game that was supposed to be in France, like some kind of era that was important to France? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Nobody can answer that for me, whether France factored in as a prominent setting in an Assassin's Creed game.
Well, it is, some of it is in France.
Okay. Which, because I mean, like, that was actually like a, deliciously wicked bit of wordplay, because, he, like, Alouette, Jotte Alouette, like, that's a lullaby about a, mother bird, like, nuzzling a baby bird, putting it to sleep, but the literal translation, because birds have feathers, the literal translation is, little lark, I am gonna pluck you, I am gonna pluck your head, I am gonna pluck your neck, I am gonna... Which, I raise my glass to him on that one. Still haven't played Assassin's Creed, though, so I'll swing back again.
My main experience with Assassin's Creed is basically literally the original ones way back in 2 generations ago.
Yeah, like, I've seen my brother play those games so much, so I basically know almost everything. But
Because
yeah,
they're
they're beautiful.
the main off-putting thing is just like I just can't like because I know like the general ideas about the ongoing like the basically the modern story air quote where it's not the flashback to your ancestors. And like it just feels so convoluted at this point, which like it feels so unnecessary. Like literally just say like make it just drop the modern portion. Just yeah, you can still keep the assassins and the what's the other guy? I know it's assassins and the Freemasons. No, not just Freemasons. Remember I'm trying to remember that. I think it might be Freemasons and assassins, but I'm not really sure.
Thinking back to what I was almost going to add when we were talking about Mr. Freeze earlier, about how the reboot of him sounded like the most teenage edgelord thing, so much so that they eventually threw it out when the comics rebooted again. And Assassin's Creed, what you're saying, it sounds like it's maybe not as bad, but they're still, like, messing with the formula a little too much. That's how it's coming across to me. But, like, yes, no.
I don't know how much they mixed with the formula, but the newer games
DC
was
talking about how they're weaving in aliens and such.
Yes, that's true. Like
it's like
the
it's
plot,
Templars.
the whole plot hole with the apple and stuff like that is stupid. I agree with my brother there.
Yeah, it's Templars. That's what it was basically.
Yes.
They could still keep the core thing where it's like basically between the. They could just keep the original idea of like, okay, it's between two rogue like competing groups, the Assassins and the Templars, changing names throughout history and blah blah blah. They could still keep that. Now it could be a theme, like a thing, like that could be the core theme, but just drop the modern stuff, which is so weird. Like we don't need a justification for having like video game mechanics in the world anymore. Like it's sort of like with isekais that don't even like bother explaining why they have like game like mechanics. It's like just accepted. In video games, it's even more so. You don't need to justify it so much anymore. It just gets weird.
Yeah. But yeah. The only reason why I haven't played it is because like it's like jumping from rooftops and stuff like that, and I have height sickness, so not a good combination there. Yeah. So, are we starting to end out or?
Yeah, I guess we sort of.
Letting me take center stage on the Assassin's Creed conversation. That might be the time.
Yeah.
Well, I think in general, like I skipped, like I said, I skipped Assassin's. Literally, the story with the modern stuff is like just so shoved me away. Like I never really bothered with the more modern ones. Even though I hear that the Greek one, Odyssey, is actually apparently really very good. From what I hear.
Okay.
Where it basically recreates all of ancient Greece, like shrunk down, yes, but still. It's like, oh, that actually sounds neat. But again, I just don't want to jump into that weird, quirky story midway through. Like I said, yeah, there's other fun games, and also I feel I need to give representation also to the other Switch games that are disc game. Like I already brought up Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I feel was incredibly not given the proper service it deserves. But also released the same year, which sort of overshadowed it, was Mario Odyssey, which I really loved that game, and it was a nice, fun Mario game, modern Mario game. And then also like Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, which is a fun game. I feel overrated though, but not bad, if that makes sense. Because the way some people have critics say it's like, oh, this is the most revolutionary game of all time. And I remember playing it pretty much like a month after release, and it's like, well, this is good, but not really that. Like the combat is frustrating at times. Like I think one thing that kept getting me is like there's like I think the equivalent of like the L3 button, you know, where you press on the controller. thumbstick. You know, like some games have like you can press on a thumbstick to either run or do stuff. Well, like Breath of the Wild, like you press on a thumbstick to basically go into creeping down stealth mode, but it's very sensitive. So like you in the middle of like dodging combat and accidentally hit that and make you incredibly vulnerable. It's like, oh gosh, Nintendo, let me just remap this, please.
Mm.
And then stuff like that. But like, yeah, it's a very fun open world game, and it's like very good game physics, which I like call like game physics, where it's basically like Minecraft, where the game itself creates its own in-world physics, like sort of rules and all that, where like in the way water works in Minecraft and all that's a good example. But it also they do that a lot in Breath of the Wild, where they set up rules and then the world follows those rules. So like if you're carrying a metal weapon right when the thunder is like it's a thunderstorm, you will regret that probably quickly. Yeah, I guess I think we've burned all of ourselves out just chatting with having fun with our earlier stuff.
That was interesting.
It was a good
though,
run,
yeah.
though.
Yeah. It was fun, you guys.
All right. Yeah, I guess see y'all next time for a more cartoon themed thing. So no new like fan questions this time, but I will say actually figuring out stuff. I actually am finally going back and trying to catch up with Owl House. The series I was evangelical for, but sort of got burned out with Disney being sort of horrible. So I haven't actually watched Owl House late, but I am catching up with in a way that does not give Disney any money. So, huzzah.
Yeah.
Just see y'all next week, or actually next 2 weeks, or next recording, whatever.
Yeah. See you guys.
Take care.